Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Today I Learned in R. I'm here with Greg Martin. We're talking about some of the things we've learned recently in our favorite programming language. In a little bit, I'm going to talk about embedding resources in a Quarto document to make your documents more portable. And Greg, I hear you're going to teach us a little bit about regular expressions today.
Yeah, something I learned about recently. I love them. I'm not going to go into a deep dive on them, but I do want people to get a sense of what they are. Two reasons. Firstly, you will find opportunities to use these things in filtering, particularly
Mhm.
with strings and text. And you will find you see these regular expressions in other people's coding and you will have seen them. And as soon as you learn about regular expressions, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's what they are. Okay, I get it. Because until recently, I would see these things in code and I'd be like, I don't know what that's on about. That seems really weird. So, yeah, and listen, for those of you that are watching this on my YouTube channel, definitely go across to Equitable Equations. That's Andrew's YouTube channel. It's a fantastic resource. You have to go there. You'll learn a lot.
And vice versa, everybody, make sure you get subscribed to our Programming 101 for more of that great Greg Martin content. All right, man, show us some regular expression stuff.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, Andrew, the first thing you'll notice is that I have learned from you
Huh.
to when I'm teaching, stick the source on the left and the console on the right. It makes a lot of sense. I never did. This is the first time I've done that. So,
I
you know,
swear by
learning from the greats. Um,
it.
as always, we're working with a tidyverse. I'm using the Star Wars data set, and I'll just kind of put it up on the screen so you can see it there. And we're going to look at the names column, and I'm going to look at some interesting options for filtering and identifying the observations that you really want to have a look at. And what I'm going to do, I'll start off with bog standard filter, right? Filter Luke Skywalker, and if I run that line of code, boom shakalaka, we get Luke Skywalker. Of course we do. And the thing about using the filter like that is you have to put in the entire name. You've got to get it right.
Hmm.
And if we know the name Luke Skywalker, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Sometimes you don't. And I'm not going to get into a lesson about the string R package, but
Hmm.
people will be familiar with it. If you're not, go and have a look at Andrew's channel and mine. You can learn about the string R package, but it's a lovely way of using a function called string detect.
Yeah.
And string detect will let you, in this case, we've got string detect is the function, and then the first argument is name. So we want to look at the names column, and then we can put in part of what we think is in the name, in this case, Darth, and you can imagine I'm looking for Darth Vader, and if we run that, boom shakalaka, there's Darth Vader. Ooh, we've got more. We've got Darth Maul as well.
No, of
Okay,
course we do.
so far, nothing too exciting. We've all done this before. Here's where things get interesting. I might not know if I might be looking for Vader, and I don't know if in the data set it's spelled with a capital or a small v. And this is a regular expression. Inside the inverted commas, you put these square brackets
Mhm.
and you can put both options in, and it will look for either of them, followed by ADER, and it'll find that. And let me run that code for you to show you. Boom shakalaka, Darth Vader pops up there. In this
Mhm.
case, it's a capital V. But if there were other observations where the same name popped up and it was spelled with a lowercase v, that would be identified as well.
Yeah.
So you may have a data set where the data has been inputted in a fuzzy way. It hasn't
Yeah.
been clean, and both spellings of the word or both
Oh, yeah.
versions, the capital and the small letter, are included. You want to find them both. Use the square brackets. It'll look for both of them. I love that. I actually used this recently, and I was like delighted with it because
Oh, yeah.
otherwise it can be quite difficult.
The
And
the
sorry, yes, jump in there.
categorical variables being coded in slightly different ways, like capital
Yes.
versus lowercase, is so common and so annoying. This is a really good solution. Thanks for
Yeah, yeah.
showing this.
And often data is inputted in a way that's messy.
Oh
And
gosh, yeah.
this just lets you find the stuff easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
Here's another example. Let's say, for example, I know the first two letters I'm looking of the word I'm looking for are DA, and then I'm looking for any word where the DA is followed by either an R or an M, and it will do that. Let me run that for you. Boom
Hmm.
shakalaka. Here we've got it finds four observations, and here's DAR, DAR,
Yep.
DAR. The last one is DAM. So it's found any observation that meets that criteria.
That's great.
You can use numbers, so 0 to 9. If I run this line of code right here, it'll look for any name that includes a digit, 0 to 9. And here we've got C3PO, R2D2, etc., etc. Any of the Star Wars names where there was a digit. And the last one I'm going to show you is this little hat. And
Yeah.
that says what that means is find any observation where the beginning letter is a capital D. And I'll run
Mm.
that. And here you go. It's found
There
six
we
of them.
go.
There are other regular expressions,
Yes.
and I don't want to, we could talk about this for half an hour. I think, and people can go out and research that separately, but having been exposed to this now, when you see this sort of jiggery pokery and code that other people have
Yeah.
written, you'll know what's happening. And once you start using these regular expressions, you'll find it's not that confusing. It's kind of useful when you need it. And I was just excited to learn about this. Funny enough, Andrew, I bumped into this while I was working on one of the chapters that we are
Hmm.
of the book that we're writing.
Yeah.
And I think
Probably the strings
when we
chapter.
yeah, and and so when we finished this little lesson, maybe you and I can talk a little bit and tell people about the book that's coming up.
I think that's a great idea. I think that I really like how you're going about this because regular expressions are can be complicated and they have a reputation for being painful. I remember a an old XKCD strip, and I'll misquote it probably, but it's something like, "If you got 99 problems, I feel bad for you, son. I used regular expressions. Now I have 100 problems." Something like that. And like this is a really good sort of like these are good examples at the level that most of us need them.
Yeah,
And when you get into like, how am I going to deal with some more complicated situations? I mean, there are cases that just for most of us don't come up all the time,
yeah.
but thinking about them can prevent us from using something that isn't really that bad. And so your examples really show that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. No, I'm excited about them. So, and they're brand new to me. I mean, I literally have never, and until
Yeah.
very recently, never used them. So exciting stuff.
Yeah. And one of the harder things in programming and probably life in general is something that comes up occasionally, but
Mm,
not often enough where you like really master it.
it's
And
not
that's
day
how
to day.
regular expressions are for me. Like I
Yeah,
occasionally have to deal with them, and then mostly I have time to forget them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the one that I'll probably use quite a lot, and it's easy to remember, is where the beginning of a word that you're looking for could be a capital or a
Yeah.
small letter,
And
and
that's the kind of use case
that's a
that you usually have.
and that comes up all the time. And
Yeah,
this is a nice easy fix. And if I don't use regular expressions for anything else, I'm happy with that.
that's right. That's right.
Do you want to
Well,
jump into the quarto? Because I'm keen to learn from you.
okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and show you some R. And here we are. And I'm working inside a Quarto document. And for those of you that aren't using Quarto a lot, you can get a new Quarto document by going up to your little piece of paper, selecting new Quarto document. And I've made a very, very simple document that's just making one ggplot, and it's doing it for the diamonds data set. And I just want to take the carets of each of the diamonds in this data set and make a histogram. And for those that don't know, a caret is zero point 0.2 grams.
I
Um,
did not know that,
yeah,
Andrew.
and it's the sort of thing like I bought an engagement ring for my wife at
Yeah,
one point and didn't.
I've done the same thing. I
Yeah,
just count up the carrots, never knew what they were.
yeah, zero point 0.2 grams. So if you get a 5 carat diamond somehow, you have a 1 carat, or you have a 1 gram diamond.
Unbelievable.
So
Okay.
I've set my bin widths pretty small because I want to see some fine grained detail in my plot. And then I've set my limits on my x-axis to cut
Mhm.
off at 3.2 because there's a handful of really, really big diamonds in this
Big
set,
diamonds. Yeah,
and the
gotcha.
outliers just make the
100%.
plot look bad. So this is something you want to do very judiciously. And
Yeah.
there's a warning message here because of that. One thing R is pretty good at is giving you warnings when you're doing things that are like valid computer science things, but might not be good data science best practice.
Yeah.
So I'll render this and we'll get the HTML document, and it should look okay, given that I haven't spent a lot of time trying to make this too beautiful. One interesting pattern, by the way, is you can see real spikes at
Hmm.
zero point 0.5, at 1, 1.5, and 2.
Huh.
So this is an example of the sort of fine-grained kind of plot gives you a lot of information that you wouldn't get if you were
Interesting.
just like making a mathematical model or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, the thing I wanted to show you is that if you're looking at my folder right now, the Quarto document generated not just the HTML file, um, the sort of rendered document, but also this little folder called T.
Mhm.
That's, the folder of just files for the thing that you're doing. And the purpose of that becomes clear if you take the HTML file and move it. So I'm just going to drag that onto my desktop if I can grab it here. And then I'll open it and it'll come up in my browser. But as you can see, it's kind of broken,
Yeah,
right? Like it
yeah,
doesn't look nice, and even the plot hasn't shown up there. And
yeah.
these are things that this is information for the HTML document that is contained in that folder that I just pointed out.
Gotcha. I've
And
gotcha. Right.
and in particular, if I were to take this HTML file and, for example, email it to you or post it on my website or
I would
whatever,
just get this
you would
and
get this, which isn't what you want.
not the rendered
And
document that you're wanting
so,
to send me.
for
Yeah.
me as a professor, if a student's sending me this, I can't evaluate this in the same way that I would want to.
Right.
So, what I would really like is to have a Quarto document that renders an HTML that has everything.
Right.
And so there
Okay.
is an option for that. And so right at the beginning of your document in the YAML header, the thing you can add is embed dash resources true. And this is
Right.
basically letting Quarto know, hey, put everything in the HTML document, don't make that folder. And so
Uh-huh.
now if I
Uh-huh.
go back and look at that folder here, you can see in my project folder, there is no longer the resources folder in there.
Right. Everything's
And
baked into the HTML document.
and now if I reopen the HTML, you can see everything.
Perfect. Absolutely brilliant.
So something that comes up if you're collaborating.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also means that you have an output that you can email or
Exactly.
share or stick somewhere or do something with without needing to kind of share the entire folder that's got all the nuts and bolts sitting behind it.
Exactly.
Excellent. I didn't know that. And so I've learned something today. And I hope people watching have learned something too. That's
Me
absolutely
too.
fantastic. Quick question. And do we have anything on that in our book?
I don't think we do, Greg. We have a whole chapter on Quarto.
I think
I
let's stick it
haven't.
in.
That's something to think about. One of the challenges in writing this book and the Quarto chapters are a good example. Is deciding
Where are the edges? Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
what belongs in a 300-ish page book
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what is really cool and important, but maybe doesn't. And
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a lot of
We'll have
times
to
I
talk
think
about that one.
you and I have both, when we've written some of these chapters, kind of like sometimes just written long, or we just threw
Yeah.
everything in,
Mm,
and then
mm.
gone back and edited it way down. And sometimes it was the opposite, where it was like we were trying to get the bare bones that people really need, and then had to come back later and put in some stuff.
Yeah. So listen, if you're watching this, watch this space. We're hoping to have the book out in 2026. Is that right? Do you think I think
Yeah,
it'll be out
w-
2026. Really, really, it's been such a pleasure writing this book. I've learned
yeah,
a
I agree.
lot. I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic. We are really excited about it.
It's been such a joy, and we're now at this place where it's in a sort of like complete draft that has been edited
Hmm.
phase, and of course, there's a lot more to come after that. So I would say
Yeah.
late 2026, maybe
Yeah.
even 2027, because it has to go through the whole publishing pipeline, which can be time
Yeah.
consuming. But watch,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll make sure everybody knows about it here. So stay tuned on that.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for teaching me about how to get an HTML file that I can send by email. Very exciting stuff.
And thank you, Greg. I feel less intimidated by regular expressions now. That was very, very helpful. So
Okay,
thanks everybody
everybody.
for watching. Make sure you check out our Programming 101 and Equitable
And equitable
Equations.
equations. Absolutely. Take care.
See
Bye.
you, Greg. Bye bye.